there's something about the way we've developed masculinity in the West, where we go from one thing to the next and we become kind of hyper addicted to distraction and to movement. And we've never actually learned to sit and enjoy our own thoughts. And if you can't sit in silence and reflect on your day and the data in your life, the emotions that you're feeling, and even the meaning strategically to the things that you've talked about in the day, well, then you're not going to be a thought leader. You're not going to be a healthy human, and you're not going to be a person of faith, in a really deep sense.
Welcome into the Men Are Forged podcast. Today is the day I reach 100 episodes. Can't believe it. Didn't think it would take this long, but it has. I'm here. I've had amazing guests, amazing interviews, discussions, topics to unpack, to refine and understand. This has definitely been part of my own forging process, the struggle to build something from scratch, interviewing friends, interviewing great authors, speakers, influencers. Yeah, it's just kind of all over the map, entrepreneurs, and I've had a blast. Everyone has had his own unique thing that has contributed to my brand and what I'm trying to do here at Men Are Forged. But I am extremely grateful for the process. There's been many ups and downs, many times wondering whether this was worth the effort and the time, but hopefully it's been meaningful to you. My audience has kind of gone up and down. It's been kind of a roller coaster. But I'm just thankful for those who are listening now and who have been listening. This is a big day for me. But with that said, there's been a lot of evaluation, and there are things going to change. It's probably going to look different. I'm probably going to start posting on Wednesdays. I've got some ideas of different things, and you'll get that when it comes. But I guess today is just a day to celebrate, to be thankful, to be hopeful what's possible in the future. So with that, I am going to transition to today's episode, which if you haven't listened to Daniel Sih's interview, you are missing out. There was so much valuable content, so many little clips I could have given. I gave a little further clip on YouTube. I just posted that today, so you can go to Men Are Forged YouTube page and subscribe to the page, as well as see the clip about, how to create space for reflection in your life, the value of reflection. I hit on greater detail of the story, the study he referenced, but as well as just his personal take and how to do it and putting down the phone and the distractions and learning to value reflection, time to evaluate your life in real time. And this is something that I am just super jacked up about, that I wouldn't be here today if I didn't at some point learn to take time to reflect, to value myself, to value my inner life. Because this is the things that really matter. You're not going to get where you want to be. You're not going to find contentment. You're not going to find joy, lasting joy, if you're not willing to just stop for a second and just think, process. Why do I feel insecure in these types of moments? Why do I get stressed in high-performing situations? Why do I get frustrated? Why do I get excited? Why do I have these good emotions related to these certain activities and events? If you're not willing to just even do that for 5 minutes in your day, what are you learning? How are you growing? You're probably not. You're probably staying the same, which you're probably just getting worse. This is why we have 50-year-old men who really just, adult children walking around, because they haven't been willing to reflect, to think on, to ask the hard questions. What am I building? What am I trying to do? What really matters to me? And that was a great thing that Daniel really hit on in that discussion. This is something he likes to do for his clients, and creating that space of what really matters to me. And I think that's something I love to ask. It's like, at the end of the day, what do you really want? In the midst of your career pursuit of wearing yourself out, of traveling and not really having a relationship with your wife, and not really getting to do things you want to do, but yet you're making a lot of money. Is that really what you want? Hating yourself, giving yourself over to your addictions just to cope with your struggle? Is that what you want? Is that the life you want, with very little community, very little fun, and a relationship where the other person is feeling miserable, and therefore you feel miserable because you're not sure why they're upset all the time? Sorry, that's some real examples I've experienced in my life, and I was 100% heading down that path. And unfortunately, possibly because of my lack of skill or my unwillingness to engage in that type of lifestyle, I was forced to really reflect, forced to understand, why do I keep hitting my head against the wall? Why do I keep not finding solutions, not finding success, these external achievements around me to confirm some internal world that was continuing to struggle, continually trying to figure out what the heck was going on. So one, you have to take the time to reflect, actually, whether that's 10 minutes or that's an hour or that's a whole weekend or a week. But then you got to learn the actual techniques to do it well. And Daniel hit on some great ones. I mean, the step one, right, is just putting down the phone for a second, putting down the screen. But something that I love to do, and I hope to, that's kind of the new stuff I'm wanting to bring to y'all, is some of my just real leadership reflection practices. This is how you do it. Learn, and the more you do it, the more you kind of take the time to really flesh these out. You can start doing these in real time, and you can do it real fast. You could have a meeting where you are all sorts of triggered with insecurities, and then you go back and you're like, why was I so triggered about what they said about this? Why did this hurt more than that? Why did I get excited in these moments and really want to do it more? I think, our feelings aren't our drivers. When those are, that's when you really see an unhealthy, unstable person. But they are good indicators. They're not drivers, they're indicators to what's really going on in our life, and understanding little things around us and what we really enjoy, what we really want to do, where we need to grow, how we can help others. I mean, that's when we really want to make impact, we have to be aware of these triggers. We have to be aware of the pain associated to them. So this is what I'm doing in my Leaders Collective group that started this month. It is ongoing month to month. It's 2 times a month. We meet on Wednesdays here in Birmingham, and I'm starting a virtual group next month with it. You're welcome to join anytime. You can check that on mentorforge.com/leaders. And yeah, we just kind of unpack. How do I bring solutions to my daily problems versus just constantly struggling and fighting through these things? Because, man, it's like the worst thing that happened to me, and I don't know if some of y'all may roll their eyes at this, but I mean, I'm a 9 on the Enneagram. Therefore, I'm constantly aware of others' needs. I'm avoiding my own, and therefore, I'm always feeling like I'm on an island. I'm always lonely and isolated. Well, if I don't recognize that, I will then be stuck in the same problem. But man, it feels like sometimes water in a desert when I start really getting to collaborate with people, when I start finding solutions to problem in a room of men I trust, men I value, men who are in the fight with me. And thankfully, I've had opportunities where I can start really processing some of these things that I'm really wanting to grow and build. And it's led to this group as well as other things that I'm going to roll out soon. So, yeah, you can find out more on mentorforge.com/leaders. And yeah, I mean, really, so let me just give you the top three things, 3 practices that I'm processing and I'm really wanting to roll out. For you in a coaching session, you can do that. You can sign up for that at mentorforge.com. And through manhood coaching, that's kind of how I've titled it here. But you can also go to calvertassociates.com as well as sign up for a coaching session through them. That's where I do a lot of my coaching here in Birmingham. So the three things here. So here it's like, all right, the first practice is own your story. How do you own your story? This is a way to reflect on, man, what are the big obstacles? Like we think about a story. How do you unpack a story? We've seen movies, read books. And, there's an obstacle to overcome or villain, right? Or there's the hero who really has the more self-reflection and understands themselves and what's their role, right? And then the narrative. There's a constant narratives in our head trying to understand that are constantly telling us who we are and who we should be and how we should act around people. When we kind of get a grasp of those three things, we can really make sense. And those three things we reflect on constantly because they're constantly coming up. And we constantly answer this. And then, okay, so the next one, that's the first one. Next one. So own your story and then find purpose or find your purpose, the specific purpose that's for your life. I think this technique works for the specific finding purpose in anything you do, but as well as the broad word, so finding purpose. And that's usually the 3 Ps, kind of the 3 pillars of your purpose. It's pain, the pain in your life, and then there's three pains, failures, failure, like what have you been through, what have you done, your complexities, where, what are you constantly dealing with on a day-to-day? We all deal with those kind of complexities. It kind of makes life hard, right? And then traumas. What are the big things in life that have really been markers that's really shaped you, good or bad, right? Those big traumas, big T trauma or little T trauma. So pain is first pillar. Second pillar is people. All right, to really define your purpose, understand your purpose is like, who am I impacting? Out of my pain, who did I used to be? I love Roy Vaden's quote here. Oh man, I'm kind of brain farting here. Oh yeah, so you're most powerfully positioned to serve the person you used to be. So out of our pain, out of our hurt, the things that we used to be, like for me, my mid-20s, feeling that just aimless, discontent, hopeless reality, that person. And I love, this is kind of why I created the podcast, but as well as men in his early 30s, wanting to grow, make that transition. How do I serve that person? I think you can think through in your life your big pain points, your big emotional pain points, and think through what did I struggle with, and then influence those people. And you can even break it down in a demographic sense, background, even ethnicity. There's countless examples of out of pain that creates such a valuable thing. One of the people I interviewed was Greg Oliver. And his sexual addiction that led to him starting Awaken Recovery, that now, bingo, he's helping men do the same thing. John Stakely, that was an episode, I believe, 72, out of his pain and alcoholism and how it affected his family. Now he wants to help men in addiction. And then, obviously Daniel Sih, the one you just heard. This is a guy who struggled creating space. His life was so full, was trying to do everything and be this perfect human being, this perfect man, and be all things to all people, and realizing like he was miserable. He had an amazing wife, family, he's pastor of this kind of, outlier cool church in Australia, been in business, leading people, and yet he was unhappy. And because he hadn't created space, he had kind of like a emotional breakdown, I believe is the way he phrased it. So, and out of his pain, now he's helping leaders create space in their life and actually live more fulfilled. So that's a constant theme that you got to realize, that there's something you've been through that can help somebody else, whether that's in small capacity in family and friends or community, or bigger. I mean, every great brand that comes from something. And then the third pillar, so there's pain, people, and then the passion part, which is the last of a pillar. It's not the first. Too many times we think about it. You got to go through something and really find out what you're passionate about. I thought I was passionate about football coaching, and I think it's a great sport. I do still love sport, from a distance, but now it's like, man, that would just been from the context of football coaching, that would have killed me. I would have overworked me. I've been stressed. It's highly structured. I don't do well in structure. It would have been, in just a world that doesn't fit my personality. As great as the game is, and great as what our coaches do for young men, and I think it is still love it. So, it's that time. Actually, last night the Raiders played the Jaguars in the first preseason game. You're like, oh wow, football's here. So, but yeah, you got to understand what you're passionate about, and that only generally comes through understanding the people you want to influence and the pain you've been through. So those are two big techniques: owning your story, finding purpose, and then the last one is then taking massive action. We can really process through our life and reflect on who we are and where we're going, who God is, when we start making massive moves in our life, big changes. And generally, you gotta, I think the baseline, and this is going back to the group that I'm started, is the collaborative part. It's like, how do you take massive action in community with people to build something? Because you just won't get where you want to go if you're not willing to invite people in and kind of create a list of who really matters in this space that you really want to grow something. And they could probably tell you whether to pivot or like, hey, that's not you, right? Then there's the realistic part, the intentional part, where it's like finances, schedule, all that stuff. That's part of that, taking that massive action to help you really process yourself, process what you're capable of. And then the hopeful part of it, that what's that tip of the spear in the taking? What are you hoping for at the end of this? What are you really wanting yourself to achieve? What is pulling you in the midst of all this? If you did take massive action, what is that thing that will get you through even the low times when we do make moves in our life that seem outlandish? Just taking massive action. When we're comfortable all the time, we tend to avoid reflection. When we live in that space where we're just kind of dragging, slowly moving, I have wasted so much of my life just living, constantly putting up walls just to stay comfortable. And when you make moves, when you're taking massive action, it causes reflection, and deep, meaningful reflection that matters. That's, I just highly recommend it. So anyway, I would love to help anyone in this. Like I said, you can go to mentorforge.com/coaching men. This is what I do. I help men, leaders, create reflective practices in their life that get better and better so that they are understanding more of who they are, and therefore they are more impactful with who they are, where they're at. So yeah, once again, check out Mentor Forged, and I unload some of this content in my newsletter. So you can sign up for that. Man, I'm unloading all sorts of stuff in my 100th episode, guys. I'm just like, I'm really diving into this stuff, and I really want to just help men in the city of Birmingham, but men in general, men in their 20s and 30s that are just feeling kind of lost, discontent, aimless in the midst of their career and their life. So, sign up for a session today, or just, find me on Instagram, LinkedIn, and just send me a DM. Just say, hey, I'm curious about this. Tell me more. Man, I don't know what else I got today. Let me look around. Who am I talking to? You're crazy if you don't talk to yourself, by the way. Just saying. Shout out to my boy, Steve Backlund. I think that's all I got for today. Hope I gave y'all a good little fire hose of content here. But I appreciate y'all listening to my 100th episode, and I'm looking forward to many more, and kind of upgrading here and getting y'all better stuff, better guests, better content that really impacts you, that really forges you as a man into that man, that leader, that person you really, really want to be. So I'll see y'all next time. All right, last thing before you go to check out mentorforge.com/authors. My episode in 2 weeks is going to be Chase Replogle. Chase Replogo. You can check him out at the 5masculineinstincts.com. I'm so excited about this interview, but as well as this book. This book has really changed my life. So you can go on my website, menofforge.com, and buy the book. And so in 2 weeks, it'll be Wednesday, the 17th. I will post the interview, and you can find out more. But yeah, go check out the book at menofforge.com/authors. And I'll see y'all next time.